Hi, Nick.
Hello.
How was the tour?
It was great. It was really well attended. I think like a vast majority of the shows sold out, and people seemed to enjoy the package. We had a really great package with Slomosa for the first like 3/4 of the tour, and Stake joined us in the UK, and it's been a blast. Met a lot of new friends and made friends with Slomosa guys, and yeah, I think we could say it's been a success.
Nice. So the band started in the US and then you moved to Germany. So how do you write music together at practice?
We don't really write collectively very much. I write pretty much all of the music to a certain extent, and usually record extensively at my own apartment, just like a home recording setup. And the three of us who live in Berlin will meet and kind of like hash out these ideas in our practice space. And when our bassist is like, or when we feel we're ready to record the next record, when we've kind of like exchanged the ideas and worked through my recordings long enough, then we'll fly him over, or I guess depending on where we're going to record, we'll meet up for some period of time, rehearse the material, and then go into the studio. So it's
Okay.
a bit unconventional, but
No, okay. I thought only you live in Berlin, but actually three guys of you live in Berlin now.
Yep.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
So only the bass player is.
yeah. So we can still, three of us can work through ideas, but I'm still the main songwriter. So the distance doesn't really change too terribly much for us.
Okay. So why did you want to move to Germany?
I was an exchange student in high school in Germany, and I really, well, let's say it was a great experience for me, and I came to like really feel at home in the country, and it led to me also like studying German in college, and I worked as an English teacher in Germany, and eventually just relocated permanently, kind of just because I always felt since that first year like Europe was my home more so than the States. I felt like I fit in better here, and I really like the music scene and the festivals and everything. So there's not really one great reason other than just my like collective life experience in my like teenage years and 20s.
So you really feel at home in Berlin?
In Berlin, yeah, I do. That took some getting used to. I mean, I've lived in a couple of cities here, but now I've been in Berlin for closing in on a decade, so it's definitely home. Yeah.
What inspired you to move from riff-based, faster stoner influences to a slower-paced, more proggy sound?
Well, I think I'd actually disagree and say that we have, if anything, picked up a little bit in tempo over the years. I mean, we try to work with a wide, variety of dynamics that includes, loud to soft and then fast to slow. We're not like playing thrash metal, of course, but I think we have some songs that are more up tempo in recent years. It's just been a natural development as we got bored of playing just kind of simple riffy stuff, and the scene really got totally oversaturated by just tons of bands doing this kind of stuff, and we've been trying to always evolve and differentiate ourselves, but also just the pure joy of writing music and being interested in more progressive music as the years have gone on have just kind of drilled their way into our brains, and it's been a natural thing. Like we don't spell out or set out any guidelines for what we want to do with a record or a song before we write. We just start, and then whatever comes out basically. So not super conscious, but yeah, we always try to stay a little bit. We like to be the different band in the scene.
Because in my mind it was like, at least that's what I thought, what you were thinking is that after reflections of a floating world, that maybe you felt like, okay, we mastered this type of music, so why not try something else?
Yeah, I guess to a certain extent after that record, maybe there was the idea to, conscious or unconscious, to do something a little bit less riffy and a little bit more kind of like floaty and psychedelic, which that also felt like an itch we scratched when making the record that came after it, Innate Passage, which now I think is kind of a marriage of both worlds. It's got a lot of ethereal floating passages, but also kind of a return to more like heavy riffing, but in a very progressive style.
Yeah, when I listened to it, it felt a bit like there's still some heaviness, but it's a bit more underneath. So the newest record is a bit more layered.
Yeah, there's a lot of layers on that record, and so the riffs, they're there, but there's keyboards and there's synths and vocal harmonies and all sorts of stuff we haven't tried out as well.
Is there a band in particular that inspired your change in style of music?
I mean, probably the band that's really influenced me the most in that regard is Motorpsycho, because they're also a band that's done everything from grunge to pop to progressive rock, psych rock, in their 30-something year career. And when I discovered them, just digging through their catalog and listening to a lot of they're just a wonderfully creative band, and I think maybe in some way I aspire to do the same kind of thing. But I mean, that's just to say they're one of probably hundreds of bands that are having an influence on the way we think about music.
Okay. What's your favorite album cover and why?
I'm still particular to Lore and Reflections of a Floating World. I think these almost like comic-like landscapes, they fit the records perfectly, and they're very non-narrative. I think our music it's not really. I'm always telling our artist, he comes up with his concepts on his own, but
Who's the artist?
Adrian Dexter is his name. He's an old-time friend of ours.
Of course, he did a lot of different artworks for different bands.
Not so much actually. I mean, he's mostly an animator and a filmmaker. So, and he's very exclusive about who he works with, just because he doesn't want to be like a commission artist for bands. But we've worked together since we grew up together.
We talked about Adrian Drexler.
Yeah, Adrian Dexter.
So he's like the artist. Do you talk with him about your idea for the album, or does he just come up with something?
No, we talk. Well, let's say he's very involved in the creative process from the beginning. I share all the music with him while it's being written and demoed out, so he can already get an idea of the best way to visually represent what we're doing. And I'll talk to him about album themes, and we'll bounce ideas off each other, kind of. So he's always been a real creative partner for us.
From an aesthetic perspective, Initial Passage is rather different to your previous records. Is there a reason for that?
Aesthetically, the artwork, or well, no. I mean, for me, I guess it's a bit more abstract than the others, but also Omens for me was a lot more narrative and less abstract in some way. To a certain extent, most of the artwork has been very much landscape based, kind of like fantasy worlds, this kind of thing. Omens was very much in your face. Here's a statue of some vaguely Greek or Greco-Roman looking figure, and for me that was the biggest departure stylistically. I think Innate Passage was, sure, it's a bit abstract, but it also kind of immediately picks up this inner world narrative. But no, just his style. He can be extremely detailed, but I think he's in some period where he's more into less on the nose and more abstracted designs. So part of it has to do with where we're all at creatively at that point in time.
So Adrian did all of the records, all the covers for you?
Except for 2 EPs, which we discussed together. He just didn't have the time, or it was a special project that was going to be just done differently. But yeah, all of the major proper records he's done.
Okay. And what's your favorite album cover in general?
God, I don't know. I think I'd really need to peruse my record collection. I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
But I mean, all of if we're gonna stick with the kind of elder-ish looking things, I'm a big fan of Roger Dean's artwork, who did all a lot of 70s prog rock stuff, and the Yes album covers. Obviously, those were Close to the Edge, and even Close to the Edge is cool actually, because it's not his style is usually these very cool fantasy landscapes with a lot of detail, and Close to the Edge is just a gradient, go black to green with the Yes logo on top. And I always thought that was such a cool album too. So I really dig his style. But my favorite album, I don't know about that. Just don't off the top of my head.
Okay. So up next for you is a tour with Tool. How did that happen? How did you get noticed by Tool?
We, well, it's kind of a long story. We met Danny Carey's wife, Danny being the drummer of the band, like almost, well, a long time ago at this point, because she and her sister run a small festival in Portland, Oregon, and they invited us to come play a couple times now. And through that, we met Danny, who's also just like a big music fan and super cool guy. And they're all just, like totally passionate about music. And so he was at the festival and has seen Elder a handful of times since then. And the band chooses their own support. Like each member has their turn to choose the support band. And it became his turn, and he just was cool enough to decide to choose us.
So that's probably a big opportunity to play for so many people.
Yeah,
So
it's gonna be massive. Yeah.
So I wondered what kind of set list will you play? What songs will you play? Because you don't have that much time, and all the songs are rather long.
Yeah, we don't know just yet, to be honest. It's quite a short set list. Our playing length is going to be really short. We're used to doing like an hour and a half. We're probably going to do something like a half hour, and we've been discussing doing a medley, like trying to put some songs together so we can really just play 30 minutes straight and kind of connect a couple songs. But yeah, pretty much all the songs are over 10 minutes, so it's going to be hard to do more than two. And we're going to come up with something creative, I think. Put together a couple different set lists and see what works best.
Okay. What is an artist you would love to tour with?
I don't know. I fielded this question like a handful of times, and I really don't know, because we don't generally do support. Like this thing with Tool is going to be pretty much the first support tour we've ever done, and it's like it's nice to be able to play a full set, like have as much time as you want to do your thing and let it unfold. There's, a lot of cool bands I wouldn't mind watching like night after night. Spotlights is a band that I've been really listening to a lot lately and kind of thinking about maybe reaching out to them if they want to do something. We got our buddies in Weedpecker, who are great friends, or Papier. They're another Danish band that we're all on the same label, actually. They're one of my favorite bands that I wish would get off their butts and start touring. I doubt anyone from the band is going to ever hear this, but
You never know.
yeah.
Okay. When can we expect new music from you guys?
We're hoping 2025. We've been super busy since like Corona happened and we could tour again, and haven't really had a chance to like write much new music at all. I think there's like one song that's finished now for the next record. So we're gonna take the next year off after the Tool tour and try and make that record. And if we're fast, maybe it'll be recorded by the end of the year, but I'm not really worried about rushing anything at this point.
Okay. And will you continue your current style of music? Or will you try something new?
Hard to say. Like I said, a little while ago, the songs kind of write themselves to a certain degree, and the trend has certainly been in the direction of like less riffy, more progressive. But the song that I've, the only song that's currently finished is also different, maybe simpler in some ways, plays with some other weird elements that haven't occurred in our music before. Drum machine, like some more shoegazy sounding stuff. So I hope it sounds different, no matter what direction it goes in. That's always the goal, kind of.
Okay, so tell me, what's your favorite Black Sabbath record?
I guess Master of Reality is the one I probably listen to the most, and but over like Volume 4 is cool because it's a little less like popular, I guess. But also some of the later records are really cool. Also like Dio Sabbath is cool. I'm a big Dio fan, but I think I like his solo stuff better than the stuff with Sabbath. So I'll say Master of Reality. How's that? It's a classic record. Can't go wrong.
And what's your favorite album of the year so far?
Shit, what came out this year so far? I mean, well, the year's almost over. What came out this year that I really liked? Maybe let me answer that in a minute if I'm really like going back with my.
Sure.
There's a really cool Danish group. I think this came out this year. There's a cool Danish duo called Sveinborg Kardibib.
Svalbard?
No, it's not metal at all. It's like a guy. It's a drummer and a keyboard player. He plays like Rhodes piano or Wurlitzer piano and Juno synthesizer, and it's like instrumental music, like totally beautiful. I don't listen to so much like hard music in my off time, and I believe they put out a record this year, which is fantastic. But and if that's from this year, that would probably be my favorite. But
Okay. So, do you even listen to metal?
sometimes, yeah, not too much.
What's your favorite subgenre of metal?
Of metal? Fuck, I know. I mean, I listened to like growing up, especially. I was like really into extreme metal, death, black metal, and even embarrassingly to a certain extent, power and fantasy metal. And before I got into doom and stoner stuff, so I guess of those genres, I could probably listen to like death or black metal like most easily nowadays. I've been on like a weird bolt thrower kick lately, and oh yeah, I saw your Death shirt earlier. Death are fucking awesome. So yeah, but I don't listen to too much metal. It's usually when I'm in a weird mood.
Okay. And what's a musician that you really enjoy and that inspired you?
I love the guitar playing of Reine Fiske, who's he's probably best known for playing in the Swedish band Dunyan. He's also played with Motorpsycho for some years. He's like, we don't play at all similar, but he's like a wonderfully creative, just abstract guitarist who's got like very unique tone and a unique playing style. He just makes really cool lead ideas that are super beautiful and just kind of he's not a showy player, he's not flashy. He's just stands in the back and does his thing and just kicks ass. So
Okay, cool. Nice, thank you.
yeah, of course.